Hi, welcome to Scattered Chats. I'm Henry Bellinon. Scattered Chats is where I chat with random friends over video chat. And today's guest is Tim Bograkos. Tim Bograkos was a member of the 2001 to 2005 Michigan State basketball team and is currently doing major market engagement for the Alumni Association. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I met Tim through John Hill and Scott Westerman from the Alumni Association. And me and Tim spent some time adventuring in Austin at South by Southwest the past couple of years.
Couple times.
So
We both missed it this year, though.
we did. I mean, we both have kids, so it's
Yeah,
we have new priorities.
I
We
had
can't
plenty
party all the time.
plenty of messages from people that were still down there, letting me know that Austin was still a fun city.
Yeah, we'll have to go next year. So
Okay, all right.
so But anyway, my first question to you is, you have been in a few March Madness tournaments, NCAA tournaments. What's it like to compete in the tournament from the inside?
Oh man, it's kind of hard to explain. The excitement level is through the roof. Regardless of where you're, if you're at the hotel, if you're on a bus, people are beeping at the bus just going to the airport. The intensity of a regular season just kind of ratchets up maybe 5 times what it normally is, and it's the most fun part of the year. Selection Sunday from this point till next weekend, it's all focused on that first opponent, and that's everything within our entire program, with everybody working towards one goal from this point forward. And the real fun part of it is you get to the one and done part of the year, so it's you putting yourself in pressure situations every day, and what where the stakes are.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of pressure. What changes? So getting ready for a regular game in the beginning of the season or mid-season, Big Ten tournament compared to the NCAA tournament. Well, like what's different? What do you guys do that's different?
I think the main difference is the fact that if you lose this game in the tournament, your season's completely over. The preparation doesn't change a ton. I mean, there's a lot that goes into each game, especially from the coaching staff. And what a lot of people don't realize is we have a group of student managers who
Hmm.
work with the team, and they put in so many extra hours, filming games. And they tape every single college basketball game that's played throughout a season. So it doesn't matter who they announce as your first opponent in the tournament. There's a game film for them ready tonight, and those are the guys that are in the film rooms till 2, 3 in the morning, getting stuff prepared. So it's definitely intense for everybody that's a part of the program. More so, the work is done by a lot of people that aren't going to be playing in the game, and that they don't get the credit for all the time.
Yeah, so I guess talk about that a little bit. What kind of prep work happens behind the scenes with those people? You said they stay up till 3 a.m. putting together stuff for you guys, so you guys have to watch it, or what's that like?
Yeah, definitely. As the selection show hits tonight, as soon as they announce who the match will be, those guys will jump into action to see how many games we already have for our next opponent, and then they'll start calling around to different contacts they have around the country to have them, FedExing and overnighting game films of whoever have played against that opponent previously, and then by tomorrow morning, there'll probably be 6 to 8 full game films of whoever the opponent is, and they'll also have everything broken down based on every offensive play that team runs, all the defensive plays that team runs, all their out of bounds plays. They'll have as many of the play calls that they can get off of just watching game films. They'll have the personnel broken down in the next 2 days, with every little, everything that each player does. They'll know, and it'll be listed out for you. And at that point, by the time the team gets back tomorrow to practice, they'll have a very good understanding of whoever they're playing, to the smallest detail of if a guy likes to dribble left or right based on where he is on the court. And that work goes in through all the coaches, and especially the managers are the ones that are really driving that. So they make it easy. So when you show up to practice, they hand you a playbook and a scouting report, and you can read up and start watching film yourself. But those are the guys that are putting in the work early.
So they do they walk you each individually? Like, okay, if you're guarding player X, do they pull you aside and say, okay, this is how you should play him, and everyone kind of gets a tutorial on that?
Yeah, so then the players will show up tomorrow, and they'll have. We used to do it where we'd break up into the guards and the big guys in two separate rooms, and you'd watch the tape of every player on their team who was listed as a guard, and you would go over how you were going to play that person if that was your guy, or if you got switched onto them, and you'd start going over all their tendencies, so you really know, I mean, what they like to do wherever it is on the court, whatever the situation is, and you're going to do that every day, excuse me, up until the game day. I mean, you'll do it even the day of the game. But and it's a matter, and then you're going to get in yourself and watch a lot of. You're going to watch extra film yourself of the team. You're going to take one of your teammates in there, watch film with them. Coaches are going to bring you in there. So it's all just focusing on that one team until Thursday or Friday when they're going to play them.
Now, when that happens, and you do all this planning and preparation, um, does it all, you kind of, once you get on the stage and you start playing, is it how much of that do you retain because of nerves?
You know what? It's not like you're not out there thinking like, okay, so and so likes to go. This is what he's going to do. Like you never know what somebody's going to do in a certain situation, but you know enough of tendencies that you can play a percentage, and you're not guessing, but you feel confident in knowing certain situations what somebody really wants to do. Because in a pressure situation, guys go back to what they're comfortable doing. So if you
Hmm.
know what they're most comfortable doing all the time, then you can kind of get a pretty good idea of what they're going to be doing at a certain spot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, usually going into the tournaments, MSU doesn't always have the best record, but um, Coach Izzo and MSU seems to always go deep in the tournament. I mean, why do you think Coach Izzo has such a successful track record in the tourney?
I think he believes in the process a lot more than the outcome during the regular season. So he knows he uses that regular season to kind of build the team towards the tournament. And in my mind, the tournament games are won. A lot of times you don't shoot well because you're on neutral courts. So a lot of the time they're won on rebounding and defense, which are two staples of our program for the past 15 years. And you get to that point where he builds you up to defensively playing very well and rebounding the ball by tournament time, and then it's just going to come down to toughness, which is our teams have been built on that since Antonio Smith played. And we've always kind of prided ourselves on being an extremely tough team, regardless of the situation. So I think he uses the regular season very well to kind of guide the team through early on. We tend to lose games that are early on, and you see people are getting upset. Fans are pissed every year early in the season because we'll lose one or two games maybe that we're not supposed to. But it's all part of that process of growing towards the tournament and hopefully winning the national championship.
Now, what's that like if you do bad in a game and the fans are pissed, and you start reading things online about
Yeah.
yourself or your team, like how does that feel?
Sucks, man. It's awful. And now it's harder now. I can't imagine playing now with all the social media and the networks. I mean, you were kind of touching on it with me earlier on Twitter and how coaches he's avidly against Twitter. And it's not so much the the platform itself or the site itself. It's just that you can just only take so much of having somebody telling you how bad you are at something. I mean, when I was playing, they had like the Red Cedar message boards, and that was really it. That was all they had to really dog you on online. Nowadays, it can come from everywhere. You're all of a sudden you play a couple bad games, and there's going to be a YouTube clip of telling you how much you suck. Facebook status and Twitter, it'll be all over the place. So it can get in the way when you start trying to read it and then go back and forth with somebody on there, and I don't know. You're never gonna beat Twitter, I guess, when it comes to you're not gonna get in an argument with somebody on there and think you're gonna beat a group like that. So he
Yeah,
just wants people staying
do a lot of
completely away
players, do
from
they
it.
try to ignore all of that press so they won't get psyched out?
Yeah, yes and no, but it's hard. I mean, when you're 18, 19 years old, good or bad. I mean, you're going to see, if you're playing well and you see everybody talking about how great you are, you're going to start thinking you're pretty good to a certain extent. And then you're also going to start thinking I suck after a while if you're not playing up to what everybody thinks you should. So, I mean, it's hard to remember that that there's still young kids out there playing. We expect so much out of them as fans. I know I get caught up with it just the same, where I expect them to be perfect every single time. But I forget that they're just kids playing a game most of that whole time.
Thoughts on that?
Did I lose you?
Hello?
Yeah,
You hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I said Coach Izzo thinks that Twitter is going to destroy some players. I mean, what does he mean by that? And I mean, what are your thoughts on the whole players tweeting and replying to things and publicly calling people out and people calling them out?
Yeah, I think I think he just means it'll destroy them in a sense of they'll start to believe all the trolling that goes on. Let's say on Twitter. I mean, if someone's constantly berating you, it's going to get to you, and then you're going to start getting into an argument and engaging in that conversation, which can start distracting. From my perspective, I don't mind. I like when I love to, I'm an avid Twitter user, and I like opening up the two-way conversation on there. I think for athletes, a lot of time we don't do a good enough job of teaching them early on, um, you know, what they should and should not be putting out there for the public, and how to really use these sites effectively. At this point, it's like trying to jump on a bus going 60, trying to come miles an hour, going back and trying to teach them after they've all been doing it for
Right?
6 months to a year. So
It's like signing up for an Ironman triathlon and then starting to train after you started the race, right?
exactly, exactly. I mean, it was all one of those things where people thought I need to get on Twitter, but we never really talked about how you should be using this most effectively for yourself, for the program, and for the university. What do you think?
I mean, I think that having a public image is pretty important. I mean, no one's you don't have your own PR firm working for you, so you do have to get your personal brand out. I
Hmm.
think that um, I think you do have to be careful, right? There's a reason that people say, "Hey, careful what you put on Twitter because a potential employer might see it," or "Careful what you put in Twitter or the press might see it." I mean, there's a reason because people could take your words out of context and use it
Yeah,
against you, or you could, in a fit of anger, go on and say the wrong things. I think it's a very powerful tool, but it's like a knife. You could use it for good things like cooking, or you could
hmm,
use it for bad things like stabbing someone. So there's definitely pros and cons, and I think you just need to be careful.
yeah. I
So
think the way the media is using it nowadays. I mean, they're using it. That's where they're getting their information from a lot of the time. So I mean, that's where they think the fastest, most breaking info is coming off of Twitter, and we've all seen where a media source runs with a tweet, and all of a sudden it's completely false. But they just it's that feeling of needing to have the story first that's getting a lot of people in trouble.
talk about that for a little bit. They teach you guys to play basketball. What do they teach you about kind of managing your own brand and signing deals with people and licensing deals and getting in the NBA? What kind of things do they tell you?
Like when I was playing, nothing really, because that was really like '05 was really the start of Facebook, and it was pre Twitter. It was pre all, it was before all of this kind of stuff. But we never really talked about, um, that all that other outside stuff that's going to come along after your career is over. A lot of guys that go in the NBA, they rely on their agents or their managers to kind of handle that for them. But I don't know how much educational pieces are being done to teach them along the way. I know nowadays the Clarabelle Center is which is the academic center on campus for athletes. They bring in a couple speakers a year to talk about different topics. But there's not a set program that they're being run through for like a full year or a semester to go over those kind of different things.
Gotcha. All right. Well, MS or Big Ten this year is pretty strong. Either that or everyone's equally weak. But they're it's hard to peg a top team. Indiana is not invincible. Michigan's not invincible. MSU's not invincible. Badgers are coming up right now, and they're doing pretty well. So is Ohio State. I mean, what do you think about this season so far, and what do you think we're gonna do in the tournament?
I think the Big Ten teams have the style of play that will do well in the tournament, just because it's a hard-nosed conference. The only thing that would concern me is if we beat each other up too much during the regular season, and making sure that you're going into the tournament fresh. Out of all those teams, in Indiana, I'd like to see Indiana and Ohio State, Wisconsin do well. To be honest with you, I don't care either way how Michigan does. I've never never really have. Um, and I know a lot of people say, "Don't you cheer for the big?"
Hello, did I lose you? Hello? All right. I think you're back.
Hello, I'm
You went
back.
away for a second. Still there?
Wow. Yeah, hold on. I just had my iTunes somehow turned on in the middle of Al Green started playing in my ears when I was talking.
Well,
But no, I
hopefully it
think
was a good song.
that was
Um,
great. I think the Big Ten teams will be strong in the tournament, though. Just the style
so
of play translates to it.
the week leading up to the tournament. So do you guys get like a week off or 2 weeks off or what is it?
No, there's depending on where they'll be in the tournament. So, um, wherever the first tournament site is. So the bracket this year looks like they're projecting us to be in Auburn Hills.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think they won't get it. They won't have any time off until have class Monday, Tuesday. Probably if you're playing Thursday, you'll leave Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. If they're playing Friday down there, they probably won't leave till Thursday. So, I mean, there's no really
Okay.
time off unless you're traveling to like the West Coast. But it's not like they're giving them the whole week off.
Gotcha. How much rest do you guys get between games? So do they tell you not to do anything like the day before a game or what happens the day before? What kind of prep work?
Like a normal game or like I'll give you a normal road trip. A normal road trip would be like this. So you'd play on, let's say you're playing Thursday. So you'll
Mm-hmm.
practice Wednesday. You go to class Wednesday, practice Wednesday, fly to, let's say, Wisconsin. Get to Wisconsin, go shoot around, go to the hotel, eat, watch film, go to sleep, get up, go eat, maybe another little film, and then go to another little morning shoot around. Come back, have a couple hours rest, eat your pregame meal, go to the gym, play the game, and then fly home.
Sounds like a very packed schedule. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's
have
not.
one.
It's hit me.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say running low on time here, but we have a question from Ian Sefferman,
Okay.
MSU alumni here. He says, "What is the secret to managing the season so well to get the team consistently ready for the tournament?"
Oh God, I think the most important thing is the development of the relationship between the personal relationships between coach and each player. So he kind of sees how each player is developing individually, and then understands how he can kind of manipulate and push and prod them along the way to continue to get better. And developing that relationship is really beneficial when it comes to providing the feedback he's going to provide, and then knowing what buttons to really push. I mean, it's pretty similar to working within any kind of an office structure or business. Like as a leader, you know your employees well enough to know who can handle what kind of feedback and who can't,
Mm-hmm.
and you can kind of that way you can kind of shape them along the way to the outcome.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for being with us, Tim. Follow Tim on Twitter at twitter.com/Tim Bograkos. And thank you, and we will talk to you later.
I appreciate it. Thank you.